This will be a guide on how to implement your own music in your Civilization 6 mod. The reason I'm making this is because while there is a guide on the Civilization fan forums, it's from nearly 5 years ago at this point. Furion Young's guide is certainly very good, and I could absolutely recommend it if you want to use another source, but it's missing a few points I found myself struggling with when I was trying to follow it myself. A lot of the information can be found in posts made in that same thread, but I want to make this guide to put everything in one place and hopefully make it easier for people new to Civilization 6 modding, wanting to implement custom music to get that done. The very first thing you want to do is to get the program required for getting the music to work in the game, which is Wwise version 2015.1.9. It needs to be that version specifically. Using any of the more recent versions of the program will not work for Civilization 6. I will provide a link to the download of the program in the video description. The problem is that for the installation of the program it requires you to log in, which is no longer possible. In order to bypass this, you're going to need to contact Audiokinetic support team via email, write them you are making a mod for Civilization 6 and require this version of Wwise that is no longer possible to install. They should go back to you with a couple of files that allow you to access the free version of the program. Secondly, you will need the songs you want to use in your in-game playlist in 16-bit WAV format. You can use any music editing program to convert your music files into WAV, but the one I could recommend is Audacity, which is completely free to use. Link to a download will be in the description. Once you got the first two steps done, it's time to open Wwise, start a new project and name it what you want. For this guide I'll be using my Fairy Tale mod as an example, but obviously you will want to use your own Civilization name for your own project. There's no need to import any of these assets. Then click on OK. From this screen you open the default work unit and the master audio bus. Right click, new child, audio bus and then name it master music bus. Then under that one make one named music bus. In this section you create a music switch container under the default work unit. Then under that you will need to create the playlists that will be used for the different eras, as well as one for the diplomacy screen. In this guide I'll be making a playlist for the 4 main eras. It is possible to make a playlist for every era in the game, but it requires extra coding that I won't be going into. You can refer to Ryan's Portugal mod to see how it's done. You can find them in the music guide thread on the forums. Name your playlist accordingly and then create music segments under each of them. Each segment should be dedicated to one song, so if you want your playlist to have 3 different songs, create 3 segments under it. Once done, you drag and drop one music file from your Windows Explorer into each of the music segments. I'm pulling them from a folder on my second monitor, so you won't really see much of it, but a little plus icon appearing next to the music segment will indicate it contains a file. Then you switch layouts to interactive music and go to a music file you've added. Make sure stream is checked, otherwise it won't be loaded into the playlist. For the audio timeline in the music segment editor, you will want to drag the audio about 1 to 2 seconds ahead from the start point to prevent the sound from overlapping when switching between songs. This way it will wait until a current song has finished fading out before starting to play another one of your songs. Then also drag the exit clue all the way to the end of the audio timeline. This marker is used to determine where your song ends, so leaving it in the middle of the song will just abruptly end the song wherever the marker was put. Do this process for all the songs you have added. Double click on the music switch container. The settings here will be applied to all your music in the project. You can alter the volume if needed. You may want to lower it a little to match the volume of the music used in the base game. For our play options, continue to play on switch change. I'm not sure about its importance, but I don't have it checked for my own project and it works out for me. However, you will need to set the output bus to music bus. Under the transitions tab, you will check these settings as shown in the video. You can edit the fade in and fade out settings if you want. I just go with a 1 for both of them. Click on your era playlist and drag all of the music segments under it into the music playlist editor. You can choose whether you want the music to play in a set order or randomly. I'm going with a random step and shuffle for mine. Avoid repeat means the number of songs will have to be played before the same song can be randomly repeated again. If you're using larger playlists, you may want to alter this number to something higher than a 1. Click on the lower arrow next to this one in the loop count. It will set a playlist to loop infinitely. You don't need to change anything about the music segments. You can assign a higher weight value to a segment you want to give a higher chance to be played. Leaving them all at 50 gives all segments an equal chance to be played. Keep loop on 1 unless you want the song to be played more than once when it is selected to be played. Do this for all your playlists. Next we go to the Events tab. Under the Events folder, create a new work unit and name it Music. Under it you will create 3 play events, 1 pause event, 1 resume event and 2 stop events. Name them exactly the same as they are shown in the video, only changing the civilization name to your own. Once all of them are added, open them up one by one. Under Objects, select your music switch container. You can also set the fade in or fade out time here. I just go with 1 for all of them. For the play leader and stop leader events, you select your diplomacy playlist instead. For resume music, make sure master resume is checked. Next we go to the Game Syncs tab. Under the Game Parameters default work unit, you create a new game parameter named game_location. Under Switches, you create a switch group with that same name. Under the switch group, you create 4 switches named after the 4 main eras in the game. After that, click on the switch group. Check Use Game Parameter. Click here to set the game parameter and select the game_location. Now drag the first dot on the flat line up to the ancient era. Double click on the line to create a new dot and drag it up to the medieval era. Do this for the other 2 eras as well and drag the dot at the end to the same level of the last era. Make sure the dots are evenly spread out across the line. From here open the Audio tab and click on your music switch container and then go back to the Game Syncs tab again. Now drag your game_location switch group into the music switch container association editor. It will show you the eras you have added to your switch group in this window. Click on an era and then on the Add Path button. Then click the triple dots button to the right and select the matching era playlist for it. Do this for all the eras you are using. Open the Shared Sets tab and go to the default conversion settings under the default work unit and double click it. Using uncompressed WAV files makes the music files take up far more disk space than is necessary. Lowering the sample rate can drastically reduce your overall file size. I'm not a music pro, so I can't say what's the best one to go with, but for my own project I went with the 16,000 sample rate, which reduces the file size of each song by like 3 times. Click on Convert to start converting your music. Lastly, open the Sound Banks tab. Under the default work unit, create a new sound bank. Double click on it and then go to the Events tab. Here, select all of your music events and drag them into the sound bank editor. Also, check on the Game Syncs tab in the sound bank editor to see if your switches are all added. You can listen to your playlist to see if it's all working as it should by going back to the Audio tab and selecting your music switch container. Then go here and click play. You can also drag the slider across to switch over to the different eras. I may have to mute my sample if it's causing copyright issues on YouTube. If all is working as it should, you're pretty much done in Wwise. Click on Views at the top and open the Soundbank Manager. Make sure your Soundbank is checked and also check Windows in the platforms and the English US in the languages. Then click Generate. Open your mod project in ModBuddy and create the following folder structure if it's not in there yet. Platforms, Windows, Audio, Add a text file in the audio folder and name it the same as you named it your sound bank, and make it a .ini file. Write the text exactly as shown in the video, otherwise it may not work. Under in-game, write the file name of your sound bank. Make sure there's an empty line under FMV. Next, go to the location where you saved your Wwise project at in Windows Explorer and open the generated soundbanks folder in it. Select all the files except the init.bank, init.txt and plugin info.xml. Drag the files into the audio folder in your mod project. Go to your project's properties under the in-game actions tab and create an update audio action. Then add these 4 files to it, the soundbank.bank, .ini.txt and soundbanksinfo.xml. Build solution and try your mod in game. Your music should start playing as soon as you settle your first city. You can also check on your diplomacy music by going to your leader screen and see if your fade ins and fade outs are working correctly. That's all I've got for this tutorial. I will leave links to the relevant sources in the description of the video.